How do I manage to do push-ups like this after struggling with wrist pain for years? Or how can I do skin the cat after a shoulder injury? In this video, I'm gonna tell you how my whole joint preparation system was born. People often ask me why I emphasize joint preparation so much and why it has such a big focus in the Gymnastics Method system. I've been working with joint preparation, mobility, and strengthening exercises for a long time, and over the years, this has become the most recognizable part of my method. In fact, the joint preparation program is now the most popular element of the entire system, and it changed thousands of my students' life. Just to name a few examples, like Larry, who started training with my method at the age of 60 after multiple surgeries and a herniated disc, and within a year, he learned to do the human flag. Or my women clients with office jobs who said goodbye to back pain and ended up doing pull-ups and even human flags themselves. The truth is, none of this came from a textbook, and I didn't learn it in some course. It was something I developed through personal experience over many years, studying the human body and through trial and error. The whole story goes back to high school when I started gymnastics. Even back then, we had a proper warm-up. It was a classic, old-school kind of routine with walking drills, skipping, jogging, arm swings, arm pulls, and a bit of general gymnastic warm-up. But there was nothing more targeted preparation, no real mobility work or specific joint preparation or strengthening exercises. As soon as the general warm-up was done, we went straight to the apparatuses, parallel bars, rings, pommel horse, and so on. That was the norm back then. The coach told you what to do, and you just did it. It stayed like that even when I moved up to the gymnastics club I competed after high school. By then, I was doing those warm-ups more out of a habit than anything else. Then came the moment that changed everything. I was after a regular workout session, I had already done my stretching, and I decided to jump at the trampoline for some light bouncing. I did some flips that I usually did, and after saving a landing on my stomach, something that I did thousands of times, I messed up my shoulder. It wasn't a full dislocation, but I could feel that something was off. It didn't work properly, and it hurt, and I knew something wasn't right. When I tried to hang from the rings afterwards, I felt like one side was looser, like it wasn't stable anymore. That's when I first started doing resistance band rehab exercises, rotations, front raises, lateral raises, and so on. I started doing them consistently, and I felt the difference. My shoulder became more stable, moved better, and the pain went away. And that was my first aha moment. If this helped so much with my shoulder, what if I applied the same concept to other joints? For example, back then everyone, including myself, used wrist wraps during the pommel horse practice because the wrist and forearm pain was extremely common, especially in the early stages of training. So I started experimenting, and step by step, I began building a routine, a system. While all this was unfolding, I continued my studies as a coach and completed a personal trainer certification. In a class there, we focused on core stability and control. And to be honest, it was a humbling experience. Because even though I had gymnastics background, I realized I was terrible at certain static exercises. For example, I couldn't even hold a basic forearm plank for like a minute. That was the other moment that hit me. I was completely missing core activation, so I started focusing on that too in my routines. Around the same time, I started studying at university, diving into anatomy and biomechanics. I began to understand a lot more about the human body and how it actually works. Also in the gymnastics gym, I started asking coaches questions. Did they do anything specifically for the wrists, elbows, or shoulders? Some did, some didn't. But piece by piece, more and more small details started to click into place. As I began working with more clients, I gained a ton of experience too. For example, I saw firsthand that you don't always have access to large spaces like a gymnastics hall where you can run through the full traditional warm-up routine. I needed something simpler, something that didn't rely on lots of equipment. So I stuck with resistance bands and bodyweight-based joint movements. And over time, a full system began to form. At first, it was just for me. Then I started using with others as well. In the beginning, I didn't fully realize what I was building. But as I started to pair it with more theoretical knowledge, it all started to make sense. Looking back, it's funny, because only later I truly realized what kind of system was developed. I still remember when I showed it to a rehab specialist friend. He's been working in the field for many years and has an incredible depth of knowledge. With his experienced eye, he immediately saw what it was and he really appreciated it. That was another moment, along with everything I learned at the university, when I finally understood that what I had originally created just to avoid getting injured had actually turned into a full joint preparation system. And the success of my students have only confirmed that. From that point on, it became one of the pillars of Gymnastics Method. It's not just an optional add-on that's nice to do. It's the foundation. That's why I teach it and why we start every single workout with it. You simply can't skip this if you want to move better, train safer, and perform at your best. And that's exactly why I believe everyone should be using it. In the Gymnastics Method system, the entire process begins with a complete joint preparation program. This means we go through every major joint, wrists, elbows, shoulders, scapulas, core, hip, knees, and ankles, with special emphasis on the scapulas and the core. These are absolutely essential in gymnastics training, but honestly, they are the foundation of any kind of upper body training. Why focus so much on these areas? Because they are the key foundations for any kind of upper body movement, whether it's gymnastic style training, street workout, or practically any other sport. If these areas don't function well, it eventually leads to injuries, muscle strains, or poor execution of exercises. I've seen this with so many of my students who came from different training backgrounds, whether it was the gym, running, or yoga. These joint preparation exercises turned out to be incredibly helpful for them too. Many of them came with back pain, shoulder issues, stiffness, and wrist discomfort, and after going through this program, they've experienced major improvements. The pain disappeared, they became more mobile, they felt stronger and more stable in everything else they did. And that's because we work on mobility and stability exercises for every single joint. First, we build proper range of motion through every necessary direction, then we reinforce that range with strength. Or as many of my students like to joke, we make their joints bulletproof. These aren't complicated or risky exercises. They are targeted, isolated joint movements that can be later integrated into foundational exercises like push-ups, pull-ups, dips, or even more complex movements. These joint preparation exercises are the small building blocks behind the big movements. I made separate videos for each major joint on my channel, so if you're looking for mobility or strengthening drills for specific areas, just search for Gymnastics Method, wrists, and so on. Even just those can benefit you a lot, but if you want to start for free, you can do so in the Gymnastics Method app. The 4-week intro course focuses specifically on the two most important areas, scapulas and core. And if you improve even just those, by the end of the 4th week, I guarantee you will feel stronger, more stable, and more mobile. This intro program is designed to give you a taste of what it feels like to train in a more conscious, safe, and effective way. And if you like what you experience, you're just one step away from going all in. You can start the full 6-week joint preparation program by joining the Gymnastics Method Premium. This is the complete system from start to finish for every major joint, built in a clear, progressive structure. It's important for you to know that the 4-week intro program is not a prerequisite for the full program. If you don't want to waste time and you are ready to start the deeper, more complete work, you can jump straight into the full 6-week program at any time. So if you like this conscious, safe, and brutally effective approach, click the link below and join the Gymnastics Method Premium. If you want me to help you personally, apply to one-on-one coaching and get your progress to fast track. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more, and now check out my joint preparation videos on the channel or on the end screen.